Hello and welcome to the Night Parade podcast, where we shine light on the dark. Each episode we present to you a case on all things true crime and paranormal. We'll be your hosts for this evening. My name is Glenn.
My name is Jan.
And we work together here with the team at Night Parade Studios to bring you this show.
And we are super excited to get this out to you guys. The team has been working here at the studio really hard. And after everything, I think we really got a good episode for you guys today.
That's right. But first, a couple announcements. First off, we're a brand new paranormal and true crime podcast. So if you like what you see, please let us know down in the comments below. Leave us a like, a subscribe. It really helps us out, and we love to hear from you guys. We're up on almost every platform you can listen to a podcast on, including YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And today we're going to be kicking off the season of Disgraced Icons, starting off with a special episode about the United Kingdom's King of Glam Rock.
That's right. So for today's episode, we're going to go from oldest to the most recent. We'll be telling this in a series of cases with the last case still unfolding to this day. Today's episode is featuring this disgusting individual.
Yep.
He ranks to the lowest of the lows, despite of his rise to stardom. His name is Paul Gadd, also known as Gary Glitter, and he was once a rock star. Let's get started.
Let's do it. All right. So, in the 1970s, Gary Glitter was an English pop icon. Known as the King of Glam Rock, his career lasted for 3 decades. Known for his over-the-top performances, his glitter suits, glam image, he sold over 20 million records. He released 26 hit singles, with 12 of them reaching top 10 in the UK. He was imprisoned in 1999 for illegally downloading child pornography. Then again in 2006 for attempted rape. He also served some prison time in Vietnam in 2008 for some child sex charges. Oh God, Gary.
This is too much.
He was arrested again in 2012 for some similar charges, and then one more time in 2014. All right, so we're gonna throw up a picture of Gary Glitter side by side. The picture on the left, for those of you listening to us on the podcast, is Gary Glitter from the 1970s. He looks pretty.
Pretty weird.
Pretty weird.
Yeah, I would say.
He's got the poofy hair going on. He kind of looks like Elvis on crack.
Yeah, basically.
He's got.
Yeah, you could see how he really used to dress back then, and what kind of
he's wearing
glam rock was.
He's wearing a really glittered out silver suit, and he honestly looks like he's a Martian or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, on the right side, for those of you listening on the podcast, he's bald.
Yeah, he's bald now. He doesn't have any hair, but he does have a goatee and a mustache.
It's white.
Yeah.
And this is actually a picture of him from his 2008 trial in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he big change. He looks super old now, and that was actually in 2008. So he probably looks way worse now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Well, before we jump into this, for those of you who doesn't know what glam rock is, basically it is a style of rock music developed in the UK back in the early 1970s, and it's characterized as flamboyant, and it's basically just weird kind of genre. Yeah. And yeah, people that are into glam rock would be playing with their gender roles, dressing up girlish, boyish, depending on their style, basically. The genre declined in the late 70s and was succeeded by the British punk rock. So this is, after glam rock had died, that's when punk rock comes in to the picture.
So that's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So how punk rock has its origins in glam rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess you can kind of see the similarities. I don't know about the visual part of it, but in the music, you can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
You can kind of hear it. Let's talk about Gary Glitter's early life. So he was born as Paul Francis Gadd on May 8, 1944, and at Banbury, Oxford, England.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, Paul Gadd. I would change my name too if I were you, Gary.
Yes, I would too, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gary he never knew his father. At 11 years old, he was already in children's homes. So as a teenager, he was always picked on by other kids in school for being different. It looks like he didn't really have a nice childhood. It just might have been pretty rough.
It's tough. It's rough to hear this type of
Yeah, I mean, he never knew his father, right? So
right.
he doesn't have like a male role model, right? That type of thing.
Yeah,
and
to
so,
kind of like teach him the ways.
And then I guess that's how he ended up like getting into like glam rock, because it kind of just plays with gender roles anyway. And well, I mean, he ended up being a huge pedophile anyway, so fuck that guy.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him getting a early disadvantage.
Exactly. At 13, he found his focus in music, where he formed his own band.
Yeah, he really did form his own band, and by 16, he was already performing along with his band in London clubs. Wow. And man, at 16, I would love to have something like that, to continue throughout my whole life.
Yeah, at 16, that's actually something to be like. That's a good achievement.
Yeah, something to be proud of for sure. Yeah, right. For sure. Yeah, and then again at 19, he got married, but it didn't last long. He left his wife for Germany a year later, and in 1965, he joined the Boston Show Band, and that's when he would open, or his band would open, for artists like Jimi Hendrix and Little Richard.
Wow.
Which is pretty big names.
Yeah,
right?
those are some pretty big names.
I'm pretty sure you guys know some Jimi Hendrix and Little Richard.
Yeah.
You might not know them by name, but if you hear their song, I'm pretty sure you're gonna bump to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty big names. I'm pretty sure like we've at least heard of them.
For sure.
So here are a couple different names that Gary went by. First, it was Paul Raven. Mm-hmm. We got Paul Russell, Paul Monday, GG, the leader,
and our
personal favorite, Rubber Bucket.
Yeah, Gary, you should have stuck with Rubber.
I think Bucket. that would have been a better name for you, Gary. Yeah. More suiting, actually.
More suiting name. Gary Glitter just did not sound right for this shit that you've done. Yeah.
So actually, at 15, he drops his first single titled "Alone in the Night" under the name Paul Raven.
His first kind of alias.
Yeah, his first name, his first shot at it. I think so.
Yeah.
1 year later, he signs with record producer George Martin, who worked extensively with the Beatles. He's actually known as the fifth Beatle.
Mm-hmm. That just goes to show you guys on how much big of a producer George Martin was, working with the Beatles, let alone being titled as the fifth Beatle.
Yeah. So this is a pretty big step for Paul Raven at this point, signing with a guy like that. They actually go on to produce 2 singles that did not do so well. Sorry, Gary.
sorry, not George. Because Gary did not do you any good.
Not sorry, Gary.
Yeah, not sorry, Gary. It wasn't until he signed with Mike Lander that he picked up the name Gary Glitter. That's his stage name, though. Mm-hmm. Gary Glitter. Yeah. He became that finally when he signed with Mike Lander.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, Leander is known for writing most of his songs and also producing... No. Leander is also known for writing and producing with the Rolling Stones, along with the Beatles again, and Marianne Faithfull.
Oh, wow.
Right? We don't know much about Marianne Faithfull, but we could speak for ourselves when it comes to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Like,
yeah, those are pretty big names.
Yeah, we know those people for sure. And he was the true visionary for Gary Glitter, Paul Gadd was ready to be successful, and he was ready to, and willing to be molded into that person. He was willing to, to know the formula for success, like he had already done so many times before.
I guess that kind of shows you how hungry he was. He was willing to be molded. Like he already done it. Like how many names have you been through at this point? Like,
a lot, and now you're on Gary Glitter, right? Yeah. So, Leander wrote and produced the majority of Glitter's work. Basically.
Wow. So what did Gary actually do besides? He of course he sang it.
Right. He was the face of all of this.
He didn't actually write.
No. All his songs, or most of his songs, is written by somebody else.
So in 1971, it's the rise of glam rock, and Gary Glitter becomes king. Let's talk about the real Gary Glitter.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Let's do it.
Well, actually, at this point, Gary, he becomes a national rock icon. He's amassed a huge fan base that followed him throughout the majority of his career. And his fans were mostly teenagers, especially teenage girls.
Gary, it's a little shaky right there.
In the 1970s, he becomes a household name. Everybody knows him. He's a big name.
He got up there. He got famous.
Yeah, and actually, people around him start to notice how sad he was. He would sometimes burst into tears if he drank a little too much.
Yeah.
And I think we all know somebody like that.
Yeah, we do. I want to shout out to our guy behind the camera, Jimmy. Just kidding. Yeah. So, as his fame grew, his ego blew up as well. His head started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. He stopped wanting to be called Paul Gadd.
Wow.
By his real name. He didn't want people to speak on his real name, but he wanted to be called Gary Glitter.
Was he ashamed?
24/7.
Were you ashamed, Gary? Ashamed to be called Paul?
Were you? Paul Gadd was a nasty dude, huh? You tried to run by changing your name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright. I see you, Gary.
Yep.
Although he always was a dickhead to his bandmates.
Sounds
He
like
always needed a bigger hotel room. He always needed a bigger car than them. So, in result, his bandmates started getting annoyed.
As they should.
Yes. Dude, they started leaving one by one.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too.
And get this. This is the funny part. During an interview,
Uh-huh.
Paul Gadd or Gary Glitter does not even remember their names, let alone the instrument that they were playing.
What? Okay, how big does your head have to be?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even know your team?
Yeah. That's like
people
me
who are
forgetting that you talk with me right here in front of
what's
this
your name
camera.
again?
Like, who are you? That is insane. So he began destroying all his relationships. This is all relationships, not just his bandmates.
So, man, Gary, he sounds like a real dickhead, man.
He was. He really... he is, because I believe he's still alive.
He's definitely still alive.
Right.
So, actually, let's talk about what he actually did at this point.
Oh, man.
So, we're gonna go into a case with her name is Justine Ackroyd.
Yes.
And it actually happened in the mid 1970s, and this was the height of Glitter's career.
Mm-hmm.
However, one weekend. He decided to hold a house party at his country mansion, and it was there a friend of his daughter was to discover the real Gary Glitter. She was only 8 years old. Sick.
That is... I cannot even, believe someone would do that, let alone this fucking superstar.
Yeah.
Almost 30 years old at this point, maybe, and just...
It's I mean, decades later, she went out on a BBC documentary to explain her story, and now we're going to play for you a small clip from this video.
Mm-hmm.
It's a warning, though. If you're sensitive to this kind of material around sexual harassment and worse, you might not want to watch this.
Yeah, no. We'll put a timestamp in the video where you guys can skip to after the part so that you guys don't have to watch this part. All right, let's play it.
Sarah went to bed. And then I realised it was a man. I wasn't sure who it was, but it was a man. And then I realised it was a dad. And I now turned to me. And at first
Alright, so, she then goes on to exclaim how he got too close for comfort, and she felt him lift her clothes, and at that point he began to assault her. She says it was painful, but she was scared of being rude, and she didn't know where to go, so she just let it happen. And when it was all finished, she asked Sarah, his daughter, if she was still awake, and she was. So they went to the bathroom where Justine cleaned herself up. She said it was hurting, and she didn't want to look, and all she wanted to do was scrub.
Man, so let's continue the clip.
Yeah, let's continue that clip.
Yeah.
I felt myself down there, and I was hurting, and I didn't want to look. I didn't. So I scrubbed. The next morning, he gave me an Easter egg, big fancy Easter egg, and I remember hoping that he'd forgotten about the night before. He might think I was dirty.
Man,
Ugh.
as you guys can see from that video, really, it shows in her face what kind of trauma
It really
she
affected her
has
life.
been going through her whole life,
Mhm.
you know? But, yeah.
Yeah, it's like she was anorexic for a good part of her
Yeah.
life. Yeah, and it's like it
Mhm.
really just shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't really tell her parents what had happened that day. It would take her about 6 years before she would open up to her mom, you know? And however, it was the 1980s. Stuff like this was just shrugged off and nobody really pay attention to it.
Yeah, it was
you
kind of
know?
like just like swept under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. And they did not decide to call the police or, you know, file any report, anything like that. And yeah, in the 1980s. Right. So during the 1980s, glam rock died and punk rock was born. Glitter goes bankrupt, starts performing in B circuit clubs, you know, hole in the wall basically, and he also tries to, you know, start his own circus. This goes to show you what kind of like career he was having to stoop so low
He's
to
really
starting
like,
a circus.
yeah, gone down from this. You know,
Yeah.
he's rich now. Has to start his own
Yeah,
circus.
this
but-
is a definite like straight downhill for him. It really was. But
Yeah.
somehow he was able to capture a new generation of fans
Wow.
in the 1990s.
How?
Yeah, he's back to making his singles. He started releasing Christmas rock and roll songs, and Gary became public, you know, the public figure again.
Wow.
He was claiming that he wasn't using drugs anymore and that he was cleansing. So, yeah, everyone kind of took this as, okay, he's trying to change.
I see.
Yeah.
So okay, well, actually, he goes on to a bunch of talk shows and says things like, "I had raped myself. I had abused myself so badly. All I wanted to do was get in the shower and wash. And I was doing a bottle of tequila before breakfast and a gram of coke before lunch." He was kind of presenting himself as a recovering victim.
Yeah. But however, in 1992, his 12-year relationship with Alison Brown comes to an end. She is credited with helping him make his comeback. She goes on to tabloids saying that, you know, she was having like underage sex with Gary Glitter.
Oh wow.
But despite this, Gary did not, you know, accept the fact that it was true. Like he claims that everything was, you know, a hoax. You know, she was making this up. His career seems to be unaffected. Like they were believing Gary Glitter over this little girl.
Ah, that poor
Yeah.
girl. That poor
And
girl.
yeah, it worked. He would go on saying this to like the press and yeah, and just really appealing to the public.
Yeah, and I guess they really loved him. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
At this point,
yeah, if they were able to like shrug that off their shoulders,
Yeah.
that goes to show you how much they love this dude.
yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, people didn't really know his secret.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
He actually gained more followers as kids started to like him.
Yeah.
And parents, they remembered him from their teenage years.
Mm.
So they you know, he kind of has his loyal fan base. And and you know, back then, again, it was like people didn't kind of just swept this under the rug. Like,
Right, right.
celebrities can do no wrong. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he had so much public trust that he appeared in the Children in Need appeal.
Oh my god. And
I
mind
mean-
you, he was being accused of sexual harassment against kids, pedophilia.
Yeah, kids. I mean, people adored him as a national English icon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wait, hold on. Let's talk about Alison Brown for a second though. When Glitter was broke in the 80s, Brown's family took him in. All right, I don't know what the
Uh-huh.
relationship between you know, the family and Glitter before
Uh-huh.
this had happened, but he had his own room in that family house in their home, you
Wow.
know, and yeah, because
I mean, I'm sure at the time, like he was famous and nobody really believed these allegations. So it's like, oh, it's a star. And he's broke. We should help him.
Yeah.
But it's like,
but bro, we haven't gotten to it. He starts dating their youngest daughter
what?
at 14 years old.
How
That
did he get
is,
away with this?
yeah, that is something crazy. You know, at some point, she was young. She was a young teenager who was a big fan by him. Basically, you know, she was starstruck to like meet this guy, and because of her, he became I don't know. Yeah, and you know, being at a young age, she took advantage of that. You know, as a 14 years old, you're as innocent as you can be.
Yeah.
You know, especially at that time, back in the 1970s, you know, not like the teens that we have today, where they're, you know, all about whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people right now are woke. You know, the kids nowadays, they kind of understand. I mean, but back then, I mean, even just like 10 years ago, like, people, like, kids were kind of, like, being taken advantage of. And, like, it was, like,
and it sucks to see that, you know. It sucks. It
I mean, it still happens to this day, but it's more people are aware.
Yeah, we take it more serious now. But she was actually a good influence on him. Because of her, he became a vegetarian, and he started cleansing.
Oh, wow, good for you, Gary.
No more drugs, for real this time, basically. And yeah, no more drinks either. And he starts exercising to like get rid of his, or to kind of like, you know, get his attention somewhere else instead of the drugs and the booze.
I wonder where his attention went.
Yeah, that we're gonna get into for sure.
Yeah.
All right, but her confession to the press was a revelation that devastated her whole family. They felt betrayed by this because they didn't know that it was happening. You know, and they would take Glitter to court, which I would do the same thing. You know, that's, you fucked with my daughter, and I didn't know until now.
Of course, like,
I'd be mad.
That's some sick shit, dude. Like,
hell yeah.
Like, I would be pissed. That shit would not fly here. Like, Gary, I'm surprised, like, the guy, like, the father didn't, like, try to kill him.
Oh yeah, I would have.
Here in America, that, like, fuck that shit.
No, fuck it, fuck everything. I'm killing you too, right? But according to Allison, he, by mean Gary Glitter, started grooming him, or according to Allison, Glitter started grooming her at age 14, and by grooming, I mean, like, he would masturbate in front of her. And would tell Allison to keep this a secret. Don't tell your family. Don't tell your parents. Not your friends.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
what the
it's
heck?
fucking crazy. And on top of that, she said that he had taken her virginity that same year, at 14 years old.
14?
At 14 years
Gary.
old. As a what? A 30-year-old?
I mean, he's already being accused, or I don't know, about with this 8-year-old. He already did this shit with this 8-year-old. So it's like,
oh my fucking god,
Glitter.
Oh my god. But despite all this, he does plead not guilty, so he still denies that anything had happened. And during the trial, it was found out that she told her story to tabloids. And guess what the prosecutor did? The judge. They saw this as a public revelation that shouldn't have happened. So in that case, he was found not guilty on account of that, which doesn't even make sense because she's just trying to share her story. Yeah,
I mean, like, these days, like, victims have, like, social media, like, they can tell the stories out there on YouTube and stuff like that. But I mean, back then, it was different. It was really different. Like, you go to the press, and sometimes they believe you, and sometimes the public hates you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Actually, to finish off Justine Ackroyd's story, she was 22 years after it took place. This was the first victim. She takes Glitter to court, alleging him charges of underage sex offenses when she was just 8 years old. Yeah. So I mean, again, this was the first case. The magistrate, I mean, which means judge or civil officer, He ruled that it had been too long since the incident happened to ensure a fair trial, so the trial never went through. So again, he doesn't have to face any consequences for his actions.
Yeah, that's insane to think of, because there shouldn't be any limit to this kind of stuff. You know, it don't matter if it happened 30 years ago or yesterday. You have to act on that.
Yeah.
You know, that's just something that doesn't have an expiration on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that happened.
It happened.
And they're living through that right now.
They have to deal with it.
Yeah. So
those poor girls.
But luckily,
Mm-hmm.
finally on 1997, November 18, the scandal breaks.
Ooh.
Yes, sir. Glitter takes his broken computer to be repaired in a street store.
Mistake.
That's if you're shady and you need something done, your computer breaks down, I suggest just throw it out instead of getting that fixed.
Yeah, if you're someone like Gary, you probably wouldn't want to make a move like this. But I mean, not to give any advice.
Give y'all advice
for like any future predators.
I'm just
but
saying,
I mean,
it doesn't even have to go with towards like predators out there. But if you guys do have like private files that you don't want being leaked out there, I suggest you call one of your friends
to fix your computer,
family members, any of that. But do not go to your street shop, because they would take that apart. Take all the memory.
If you have anything illegal in there, especially, well, I mean,
yeah.
Well, okay, let's move on.
Cut. All right. So, it was there that staff discovers images of child porn, and Glitter is arrested under his real name, Paul Gadd. This is a full circle going back to Paul Gadd.
That's right, Paul.
No more Gary Glitter. I don't even want to associate you with that. I'll just call you Paul.
That's right, Paul.
Police recovered 4,000 images of child pornography, 4,000 images of child pornography involving children as young as 2 years old.
2 years old.
This is 8. I thought was fucking ridiculous.
Wait, 4,000 images.
Yes.
Dang. How can you even fit that amount of like
back then
like space? That was a lot of money.
Yeah, we only got megabytes back then. It wasn't even gigabytes. So 4,000 images would have taken a lot. Do you know what diskets are? People that are watching this right now, diskette is basically this big old memory card that you could only fit about like 2 or 3 photos in for your computer project, basically. So it just goes to show you how much this dude really
liked his stuff.
Yeah, he was. I wouldn't even say passionate about this. That's sickening. Fucking Paul Gadd, you're sick, bro.
Fucking sick.
So he goes to jail, but
okay,
he only served 4 months.
4 months
for this. For 4,000 images of child pornography.
4,000 images.
4 months.
I guess they were just like, it's not that bad. 4,000.
Yes. Do you know how much time you could get for just one child pornography right now at this time? It's more than half of your life. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
That's for sure. Because I know some people like getting fucking death penalties for child porn.
Yeah.
Let alone finding 4,000 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also has to do with how much money he has. Money, fame, and power.
That talks a lot.
It speaks. That
talks. Louder than any one of us.
Yeah. Let's talk about Gary on the run. So after he's released in 2000, he explains in a press conference right outside the prison he's done his time that he just wants to move on with his life and he's done it, and he feels like he just wants to move on.
He served hard time, he said.
After he's done his 4 months of hard time, he shortly leaves and, he flees the country. Gary,
what did you do?
At first, he flees to At first, he flees to Cuba, but is shortly deported to Mexico. But not before that, he fathers a kid in Cuba. Yeah.
We don't know how old
the girl was in Cuba. How old was she?
Cuba?
How old was she, Gary?
Let us know, Gary.
Let us know.
If you're watching this right now.
If you guys know, let us know in the comments down below
right.
how old she was.
Or even her name.
Yeah.
Yes, we would love to know. Honestly, please let us know.
Well, then he spent 3 weeks partying in Colombia. Then he flew out to Gibraltar to party on his yacht. Then he sails to Spain and almost drowns in the marina while wearing a cowboy hat.
You can't make this out, y'all. He was wearing a cowboy hat when he almost drowned at the marina.
Yep,
Yeah.
he was drunk.
Yeah, he was. He was so drunk that he just don't know what land and water was.
I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't crying.
yeah. Instead of, I guess, after he cried, he just was like, I'm done. I want to drown myself.
Right? I'm be a cowboy first.
Yeah. Anyways, he came back in the UK back in 2001, but the press hounded him. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, but due to this, he flees again to Portugal. Then he went to Brazil. And then from Brazil, he went to South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally...
He was all over the place, man.
Yeah, this dude. And after South Africa, he went to fucking Cambodia. Where it's apparently easy to find child sex workers. Predators.
Gary.
Wrong. This is where you fuck up, Gary. The last thing the government wanted was another fucking predator in their country, so they kicked him out the country. You know, they have him deported to Thailand, and Thailand didn't want him either. This dude was going hopping countries that does not want him.
So Thailand didn't want him either, huh?
No, he just was like, nope, not fucking with Gary Glitter.
Sorry,
Better
Gary.
get him away from us.
Not here.
Yeah, not in Asia. Yeah.
So, actually, then he sneaks back into Cambodia under a different name.
Mm-hmm.
And there he buys a house. At this point, it was 2003.
The audacity of this dude.
Yeah, dude, like... oh, man, he's...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's still rich at this point because he's able to buy himself a house.
Right.
So he's somehow making money. So, like, the rights to his music, well, I don't know where they went, but they're probably still his.
Yeah. Most likely.
Yeah. So, do not support this guy. He's a pedophile.
No.
Gary Glitter.
Yeah. We've given him enough views on YouTube actually.
Yeah.
You know, we've been playing his damn video for you guys, basically.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean that's just for documentary reasons. In 2005, he is convicted in Vietnam on child sex charges. He stayed in jail until December that year. Charges were dropped for a lack of evidence, despite him admitting that the 11-year-old slept in his bed.
This is a confession, by the way. This is not even him jokingly like, oh yeah, I did that. This is him talking about, yes, this is that.
The
that
11-year-old
happened.
slept in his bed. And
Yeah.
Somehow, he could have faced execution by firing squad if he was found guilty by child rape. And to be honest, he should have been.
Yeah, no,
Because he did it. He did it without a doubt.
He said it.
He compensates the girls' families, and he appeals for his clemency. Like, he pays them off. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
there's not enough money in the world, bro. Like, honestly. Although, in 2006 of March, he was tried again on charges committing obscene acts with 2 underage girls, aging from 10 and 11. This is just sick. From 8 to 14, and then there's those videos and
This is like 10 years later.
yeah, baby photos, 2 years old, and then 10 and 11 again. That's crazy. He was facing charges up to 14 years. The next day they found him guilty, but was only sentenced to 3 years of the 14 years he should have gotten.
Yeah. Wow.
Only 3 years.
Obviously, he was paying someone.
Yeah. He also faced deportation, so that was that, and also a 5 million Vietnamese dong settlement. Now, if you guys don't know what Vietnamese dong is, it's basically their dollar over there, but compared to UK dollars or euros, that would have been only $200 or less or a little more. But even then, that 5 million is just a number that they gave us.
It's a lot. It seems like a
Like
lot.
it was big.
It seems like a lot, but Gary really only had to pay like a couple hundred.
Yeah, that's
euros.
nothing to him. That's nothing to him.
It's nothing to him.
It really isn't. Yeah. So after his verdict was announced, he shouted angrily to reporters
Mhm.
at reporters
Mhm.
and denounced Vietnamese justice. He was talking shit at Vietnamese justice.
Ah,
All right. Then the next year, they reduced his sentence to only 3 months.
what the heck?
Out of it went from 14 years to 3 years, and now the next year later, 3 months.
They reduced it by 3 months.
That is insane. That's a big gap of like cut down from your sentence.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, he could have died. You know, by firing squad.
Exactly.
Which was what should have happened.
Exactly. And now you're just doing 3 months of soft
In my
time.
opinion.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't in no cell where he was being ganged up on. Because if he was, he would have died in prison right there and then.
Yeah.
They don't fucking like child abusers in prison. All right, you get your dick
Yeah.
cut off for that. You get your
Mm-hmm.
your tongue pulled out for that. All that type of shit.
Because I mean, because he gets arrested again. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so he doesn't learn.
He doesn't.
He
He really
learned.
doesn't. To this day, Glitter denies any wrongdoings, though. Like, he's claiming to be framed by the British tabloid, basically, making up stories about him on the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2006, BBC interview. Okay. And in 2006, in a BBC interview, he blamed the press for his downfall, alleging entrapment.
We ain't got to do nothing, Gary. You did it
You did
all
this to
yourself.
yourself. Yeah,
And
this
the-
is not on us.
The evidence
honestly.
speaks for itself.
Yeah, they all have this. They
They all
all have access to this. We're just telling what's up.
You did this.
Yeah, you really did. There's no running from it. And in anticipation of his release, the Philippines barred him from getting into the country as of May 2008.
Ha. That's right, Gary.
You're not allowed in my fucking country, Gary. But just be thankful that you weren't, because it is no good for you up there. No good.
Just stay out, Gary.
Yeah, stay out, because the only court you're gonna be in is the basketball court, surrounded by people more savages than you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who is ready to kill child fucking molesters any time of the day. So if we caught you there, you won't be in wherever you are now. All right, so just be glad. Just be glad.
All right. So actually, on August 19, 2008, he was released and escorted to the international airport of Ho Chi Minh City.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to fly aboard a flight to London from Bangkok, but he claimed tinnitus and a heart condition, and he refused to board the plane. So I mean, I looked it up, and tinnitus is it's like a ringing, it's a rumble, sorry, in your ear,
Yeah.
and like how is that going to stop you from getting on
Yeah,
an airplane?
yeah. The reason or not the reason, the way for you to stop all those rumbles in your ears, for you to listen for something more louder than that, which is music, and they
Yeah.
have that on planes.
You can listen to music
Yeah,
or something like that.
if you were able to release music back then, Gary, you would have been able to listen to your music.
He knows.
on
He's
the
just
plane.
playing dumb.
Yeah, he's
He's
playing
just
stupid,
playing
like any fucking superstar do
Mhm.
when they're
Caught
caught
up in
in
this
the
kind of
corner. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They
Mhm.
throw up all types of fucking reason.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean, a doctor actually diagnosed him with what's this, costochondritis, but declared him fit for travel anyway. So he could have gone.
Exactly.
He could have gone.
Like I said.
I mean, but Gary still refused to leave, going as far as booking himself a lounge room and claiming he was a free man.
I don't know about a free man, but
Yeah.
you a disgusting man. That's
Right.
for sure.
Right, Gary.
Yeah.
Sit down, Gary. Sit down.
Sit down.
Sit down. I mean, he tried to go to Thailand, but I mean, he was refused admission, deeming him a threat to domestic morality.
Duh. Like by this point,
I mean,
you're
every-
known around the world as
I-
this
yeah.
nasty dude.
Like countries are banning him, and like people know
Left
who he
and
is.
right,
Like
yeah.
it's crazy. And,
Yeah.
And August 20th, he took a flight to Hong Kong where he requested medical treatment, claiming that he was having a heart attack. But Hong Kong authorities refused to give him treatment, returning him to Thailand the next day. Right, Gary. Okay, sit down, Gary.
They said,
Heart
they
attack?
said,
Alright, whatever.
You ain't having a heart attack, man. Sit your ass down.
That's what pretty much, dude.
Yeah. Finally, after this, the Thai officials were able to get him on the plane. Finally, he boarded the plane, ready to go back to the UK. And yeah, at least 19 countries, including Cuba, Cambodia, and the Philippines, all announced that they would refuse enter or admission to Gary Glitter. August 22nd, 2008, he returned to UK. He was then added to the UK's sex offender list for life.
Finally.
It took y'all about 40 years to get Gary Glitter in the system.
Long time.
This dude was running free for
A long time.
40 years. That's more than half of his life.
It wasn't until 2008, and he started making music in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time to be running free from doing what kind of nasty shit.
And then I'm sure there's victims that we don't even know about.
Right, and right, guys. This is only the people who came out. All right, this is the only people who were brave enough or had the courage to really share their story, even though they were going through such struggles.
Yeah, and it's horrible. It's horrible, the awful things that they went to. Interestingly enough, before his second prison release, Gary actually told the Daily Telegraph about a new album he had been working on. But I mean, that never happened because in 2012 he was arrested again by London police as part of the Operation U-Tree. And so this Operation U-Tree, that was part of the Jimmy Savile investigation.
Right.
So the Jimmy Savile investigation, he's a lot like Gary. He was a pop icon discovered to be a disgusting predator. He was huge. This guy, he was huge. His reign started from the 50s, targeting people in hospitals, teenagers on his show Top of the Pops, children at charity events, and his reach was around the world too. I mean, this guy Jimmy Savile, he was never caught, and he never had to bear any consequences of his actions. It's horrible and tragic, and like they even gave him a really, really big memorial. Like, he had hundreds of victims. They gave him a huge memorial at the end of his life, but after everybody had told their story and like all these allegations came out, they actually took down his memorial, and they just threw him in an unmarked grave.
No way.
Yeah. So that case is pretty interesting.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys want to see us or hear us talk about the Jimmy Savile case, let us know down in the comments below. So we'll make a pretty neat episode for you.
We'd
guys.
love to do it.
Yeah. Honestly, this stuff we can't get enough of.
It's great.
Yeah. Anyways, Gary was then released on bail that December of 2012. Right. But guess what? He was arrested again 2 years later in 2014.
Again?
Yeah.
Come on, Gary.
Yeah, he was fucking charged with 8 counts of sexual offense committed against to age ranging about 12 to 14 years old between 1977 and 1980. On February 5th, 2015, he was convicted of attempted rape, 4 counts of indecent assault, and 1 having sex with a girl under the age of 13. That is fucking sick, bro.
Yeah.
He was acquitted for 3 others. He was then sentenced to 16 years in prison.
Oh man.
Now,
wow.
Yeah,
There's a lot to unpack there.
That happened all in basically 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 years time frame where he got arrested again and again, and finally was able to be charged with all those type of charges, which is sexual offenses.
Yeah, so it was February in 2015. That's when he finally did some hard time, the most time he's ever been sentenced. 16 years, and he's already, and at this point he's like in his 60s or 70s, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, what kind of quality of life is he gonna have after this point?
Yeah.
But really, we want him to do more time, but he's super old, no?
Yeah, at the same time, we understand that he's super old and probably will die in prison anyways.
He's probably gonna die in prison. I hope he does.
Yeah, but we wanted to be secured with that thought. I don't want to just later on, 16 years later, he's still alive. Now he's getting out. no matter how old he is, that fucking time he gets out,
Mhm.
he's still gonna be.
Yeah, I hope
able
he's
to
still
do stuff.
handcuffed.
Yeah.
And I hope, like, even when he's old and, like, in
Oh yeah,
bedridden.
oh yeah. He has to be
In
monitored
handcuffs.
at all times, 24/7, house arrest, all those types of security. Honestly,
I mean, that's what he deserves.
yeah, that's for sure.
All right, so small trivia. Jeff Groth, who edited the 2019 Joker, purposefully used Gary's song "Rock and Roll Part 2" in the movie Joker to better illustrate that the protagonist was not exactly a good guy. It was an artistic move on his part, but I
Yeah.
mean, he still used a pedophile song.
That's true. That's kind of like supporting him in a way, but at the same time, I get why he did use it.
Yeah.
You know, for that portrayal.
I just
right?
hope Gary didn't get paid for it.
Right, that too. Like, I just hope he just freaking stole that music and
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
you know, put it on there just to fuck with Gary's name, because honestly, now he's being used, or his music is being used to
Yeah.
symbolize
Like
evil.
pedophilia.
you
Yeah,
know,
evil,
like,
exactly.
fucking, this dude is sick. That goes to show you like how much
Dude,
some people really know about this guy.
He's an example now.
Yeah, he's a bad example at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to Gary's ex-lover Tessa Dahl. She said in an interview in BBC when she was asked if she could countenance his return that, quote, "It's terribly hard to love a person who has behaved as he has, and someone who's lived lies for years
Mm-hmm.
and years on end."
Yep.
So Tessa is a British author and actress. Her father was Roald Dahl, is also famous for writing books like James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh wow! So he
Yeah.
dated someone like that.
Yeah. So I guess he was kind of like related in a way.
He ended
Because
up
that was his
dating these
ex-lover.
women. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like he still had lovers. Like he still
Yeah.
had like women,
Right.
like
right.
actual like grown
Actual
women,
girls. Or women, I should say.
like his age. But
that,
I mean,
that really
or at least closer
on
to his age.
Right, exactly. You should have stayed at that age group, bro.
yeah.
These minors under 18, not even close to 18, 14 at the oldest from this article.
All right.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
Hey
Yeah.
Jan, do you want to hear a joke?
What is it? Let me hear that.
All right. So, what are two things that never get old?
What is it?
Gary Glitter's music
Uh-huh.
and Gary Glitter's girlfriends. If you guys like that one, give us a thumbs up.
You guys are gonna hear a lot of dark humor in this channel as well. So.
Yeah, we found that one while doing some research on that
Yeah.
this topic. Some people are
Shout
going
out
wild in the
to
comments.
Charles,
Shout out to Charles.
the boy.
For finding
Yes,
this.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Jan. So, what do you think about Gary Glitter?
I think this dude is a fucking nutcase. He's a fucking sick dude who just has nothing to do better with his life than ruin somebody else's.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right? Because honestly, Gary, you're sick
You're
for
sick.
doing any of the things that you've done.
Get help.
You needed help back then, and if ever you do get out, you should seek that as soon as possible. And I hope you're getting that in prison as well.
Yeah,
because-
maybe you should request one or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, that's yeah.
These kinds of thoughts, like obviously he's been having them his entire life.
His whole life, he lived with this. Yeah, for sure. But what do you think he has to do for him to get back into our society today?
Let's see. First off, saw your hands off, or
Man, Ray.
or like tie them together forever. Like I don't know. Like this guy at least should be restrained if he's let into society.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I see.
Oh yeah,
Because he's hurt so many people. you
Yeah,
know?
no, at the very least, be monitored 24/7. Every second of the day, someone has to know what the fuck he's doing.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I don't trust anybody that is like that.
Yeah, he's sick.
To be fucking
He's
going
done it
back
so
and
many
say,
times.
Yeah, there's no changing a person like that unless he wants to change.
Yeah.
That's it. It only matters to Gary what he is as a person. So if you know what he sees as a person is that pedophile, nasty, crazy, sick dude that he is, then that's on him. But he really needs help.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
All right. I mean, do you think he got what he deserved, though?
he got what he deserved to be in prison, yes, but he didn't get the full amount that he deserves.
There is a lot that he got away with.
There
Is the
is,
thing.
and for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't been in prison for 40 years. He hasn't. He's only probably served about what 10 right now or 15.
Mm-hmm.
About there, from
maybe,
yeah.
like collectively all together, yeah, like maybe less than 10.
Yeah, maybe less than 10.
Maybe
Yeah,
less
yeah.
than 6, to
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because he recently just got in prison.
yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
16 years from then. 2015, I mean.
That was 6 years ago.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
got like another 10 years.
Yeah, more, dude. Yeah, yeah. He needs a lot more.
I hope he burns.
Yeah. Well, what about you guys? What do you guys think about this case? What do you think about Gary Glitter? Let us down. What about you guys? What do you guys think about Gary Glitter? Let us know down in the comments below.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're gonna read all your comments. Anything that is helpful for us as well.
Yeah, good or bad, we'll take it all.
Yeah, we're not butthurt about those kind of stuff.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, it'll just makes us better, honestly.
Exactly.
Those all help, negative or positive.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. So that is the Gary Glitter case.
Yeah.
King of glam rock, convicted pedophile, banned from 19 countries. We hope we were able to shine some light for you guys today.
Yeah, and if you guys enjoy this episode, feel free to give us a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It really helps us. And with that being said, we are the Night Parade. My name is Jan.
And I'm Glenn. That's right. Welcome to the Night Parade.